G'day punters, welcome to another episode. Well, the final episode in my 250k projects. I misnomer, it's 262,500 k's now, but the final pieces to this project finished. New wrap, front swivel joints all rebuilt, and new suction control valve on the back of the fuel pump. So I'm going to waffle on and let you know what's been involved in this series. Signarama Nunda, or Brisbane Signs. Just dropped the Landcruiser off, new wrap, back at the home of the best wrap in Brisbane, probably southeast Queensland, even Wide Bay. Second time I've been here. They do wraps for some other more notorious four-wheel drive people than me, or for adventure. Now back here to pick up the Landcruiser. Alright, we'll have a quick look at it. First look. Yeah, it's a little bit brighter, isn't it? Let's have a better closer look at the new wrap. Should be able to pick it up straight away. It's a little bit lighter than the last colour. Same sort of pattern in it though. Gone across the front here where the windscreen wiper mounts are. Come up the windows. Still fades into a little bit darker at the back here. Got some new handles for the door, the canopy, and I've got some new seals as well. Where do I start with this commentary? Probably some months ago I had a catastrophic failure with the rear locker. As a result, I had to replace the rear locker. At that stage I had also planned to have a GVM upgrade with BMW, so I organised a new diff centre anyhow. So new diff centre, new rear locker. Got back home from our travels. A few things I needed to sort out for the GVM upgrade. I needed to make sure the chassis was straight. So I went up to Toowoomba, visited a chassis alignment place, got that sorted out, no problems there. Then dropped it off to BMW a week later. All the suspension's been replaced, springs, shock absorbers. I had to upgrade the rims to a load rating of 1500 kilos. That's what with ROH 17-inch rims on from the old Toyota 16-inch. Stayed with the Goodyear Wrangler tyres. They're load rated 121, which I needed for the GVM upgrade. The GVM upgrade is 4499 kilos. They strengthened the rear chassis as well for me. New panhard rod. I've got new bushes through the whole Landcruiser except cab bushes. I had the canopy off a couple of times. One of those times I had the opportunity to sort out all the electrical as well, stripping out all redundant wiring and tidying up what was left over. At the time of this being posted, I still have one more project to do. I've just recently picked up a Victron Smart Shunt, and I'll be putting that in instead of wiring up a battery monitor. When the canopy was off, I had all the cracks welded up and all the holes that I had in the floor all welded up, so I just reset everything inside. I strengthened the floor of the canopy. I removed the filler hose from the under canopy water tank. That allowed me to move the canopy forward 35mm from where it's originally mounted, and the front of the canopy has also been lowered. Most of the canopy has been painted in blue Raptor. I've painted up the side steps and mudguards in blue Raptor as well, and the underneath the toolboxes blue Raptor. The doors of the toolboxes were black Raptor, so I've refreshed those. I had to rebuild my grille because the old grille surround cracked. I bought a PVS custom grille. It didn't fit because I got a front mount intercooler, so I just cut the guts out of it and used my old insert. I've replaced all the brakes, so that's all the rotors, the pads, the handbrake shoes, and the braided steel brake lines from the chassis down to the calipers. I've replaced the map sensor filter. I've installed a new ARB compressor. I discovered that the air solenoid for my air horns was buggered, so I replaced it as well. I replaced the aerial insert for the AM/FM radio. I took the vehicle down to Downing Street rust proofing in Brisbane, and they chassis cleaned and rust proofed the whole chassis in the engine bay. I've replaced the self-fire aerial because the coax on the old self-fire aerial parted ways with the aerial itself, and a local repair person said that's a non-serviceable unit, so I replaced it. The standard coax on a self-fire aerial is about 4.5 metres. I had that trimmed down to about 2.5 metres. As mentioned in the intro, I've had the front knuckles rebuilt and the bearings replaced. Front axle bearings cleaned and repacked. I've installed new Canopy door handles locks. I fitted a new stone protector to the bonnet and wind deflectors to both front and rear doors. I've replaced the suction control valve on the back of the fuel pump, and I've replaced that because I was having fuel roll pressure fluctuations. I'm in a mind at the moment whether that's actually going to fix it. I suppose in time we'll find out. Going back to the BMW GVM upgrade, it was a requirement for their engineering and certification that there be airbags in the back, airbag man airbags. I had those already. They also required braided brake lines, and they also required a Marks IV drive adapter hydraulic brake booster, which I already had as well. The new wrap was done by Sinorama down at Nunda in Brisbane. They did the original wrap, so they just tinkered with the design from the original design. As part of having to remove the canopy a couple of times, I decided to integrate into the electrical system quick disconnect plugs, Deutsch plugs, and where there was high current draw or loading, like the solar and the power supply, I've used Anderson plugs. Just means that if I need to pull a canopy off in the future, I just unplug the electrical cables rather than having to unsolder, resolder, or cut and resolder all the electrical cables that are involved with removing the canopy. I relocated the fire extinguisher I had inside the canopy from the driver's side to the passenger side above the fridge. I've also installed a new fire extinguisher behind the centre console inside the cab as well. A lot of the components that I've touched where they've been secured with screws, flange nuts, bolts, and similar, I've replaced them with 413 stainless. Apart from what I've mentioned about the internal of the canopy, I've really not played with the layout. I have moved the 90 litre Engel upright slightly forward. I've also carpeted the canopy as well. So carpet goes from passenger side across the driver's side, either side of the centre drawer. I've also rearranged the storage of consumables and breakdown stuff, where previously I had them stored into milk crates above the centre drawers. I've now moved those crates, which were on occasions quite heavy, right up against the front of the canopy and above the small angle on the driver's side on a shelf. I do have quite a bit of space in between the 90 litre angle on the passenger side and the 40 litre angle on the driver's side, and in that space I've stored a large bag of lump coal for a spit roaster and a fire pit that I carry, and I've also got a 10 litre bucket which I've put some more consumables in, like small bags of oils for gearbox, diff and stuff like that.